Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's going on here in the capital city. I'm your host, Dick Patten. Pleasure to welcome you back, as we're now in the month of June, and it doesn't seem possible that we're marching on towards the 4th of July, but we've got a couple of bumps in the road before that with Flag Day and high school graduations. I mean, everything from Concord Christian Christian Academy, Bishop Brady, Concord High, Bow, Hopkinton, Pittsfield, you name it, they're all in there. Cole Brown has already graduated, so they're smart. They
are smart. They
start early in August. But anyway, my guest is Fire Chief Dan Andrews. I almost said Police Chief. Fire Chief Dan Andrews, and it's nice to have you back. It's been a long time.
It's been a while. It has been a long time. Busy time.
Well, I know. It's been a long time since I've had anybody from the fire department in. So it's good. Are you in the middle of budget?
We are in the middle of budget. We had some time last week when the manager introduced his budget and gave the overview. We had a discussion that evening on some of the revenue components that we bring to the city budget. And on Thursday night, we had our budget hearing. We went over our budget, which is under a 3% increase, so that's good. It's coming in considerably under the average, and
but no engine one though. Huh?
No engine one has been out. We're coming up here on the 10th anniversary of the time it went halftime, and the 9th anniversary since it went out of service. Yeah, it's we tried for that in 2014, and we are looking now because of the great demand for emergency medical services for an additional ambulance. That's been our request for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I know. It has picked up way from the old days when the police department had it. And boy, now it's like, I don't know, I get very perturbed watching on TV, like Chicago Fire, Station 19, that's the newest one, and gosh knows whatever else, because to me, they make it like soap operas, and that's what bothers me too. It's like daytime, I'm looking at a daytime drama. And it has nothing to do with fire department.
Yeah.
It's all to do with all this, and maybe this goes on. I would hope not, but maybe this goes on at Concord Fire, and we don't know it. But I get so sick and tired of. I mean, I like to see the different. Like, I go back to the days of Emergency on TV with Robert Fuller there. I don't know if you remember
you go back into my time. Yeah, back in the
and that was more or less
1972.
Yeah. And that was more or less focused on the fire department or whatever. But these shows today, oh my gosh, all it is soap opera.
I'll have to say that I haven't seen any of that to which you have referred. But Concord Fires, it's an exciting place in terms of emergencies and the work we do. But in terms of that kind of drama, not something that's ever going to make TV. It's pretty routine stuff.
You mean you don't go over to Molly's afterwards and have a drink?
No, I don't think nobody is going over to Molly's having a drink. We don't have a Molly's.
And you notice on Chicago Fire, they've got their big bar.
It is Chicago, but we have had prohibition on alcohol in the stations or on the premises. Actually, any kind of alcohol or drugs for well in excess of 50 years, approaching 60. It's a pretty tame, from that sense, a pretty boring department in terms of those kinds of controversies, and we're a good place. It's a great place.
But I watched those three. I do like them, but they've got this central bar that the fire department manages on one night.
Yes.
And you'll see Chicago PD in there, and then Chicago Med comes in, and it's like, oh gosh.
Well, Concord is not Chicago, and I'm grateful for that.
But the newest thing that I see, though, and I guess maybe Concord's following with this, there's no such thing as an engine anymore. You don't see like engine 5 running around, or engine 4, or engine whatever. It's these big tower trucks, and they're all like that now on these stations.
Yes.
You don't see the small engines. It's all tower trucks.
We do have two towers. We have the one that was acquired in 2002, and then in 2013 we bought a new one, but we have two. One in service, front line, and the city council has been so very good to us. This is the first year in 4 or 5 years that we haven't made a major apparatus purchase, where the city council's allocated $510,000 for light fleet, a new ambulance, and it's the first time that we're not spending. Fire engines currently go for around $665,000. The tower ladders, we'll be pushing $1.5 million for the next purchase or more, which is still off another 5 years. So, but the city council has been so good, and now we have an entirely uniform frontline fleet, all from Pierce Manufacturing in Appleton, Wisconsin, and we have done well. But we have fire engines, 3 frontline, 2 reserve, and we are still maintaining that kind of traditional profile for a fire department.
Yeah, but you couldn't fit Tower 1 in the Heights station up there, or Manor station, could you?
No, you couldn't, and it barely fits in Central Station.
Yeah.
There is a video from somebody who posts under the title Racing Fan 911, and I have seen the video a couple dozen times, but I always hold my breath, because as you watch the tower pull out,
yeah,
there's about that much room between the bucket of the tower and the top of the door. So it's a tight squeeze as it is. And I have a photograph on my phone that we can't show very well, but it's about the same kind of clearance when it's backed in. The space between the tower and the back wall of Central Station is in the inches. They're large apparatus.
Why in the world did they make those stations small as it is? I mean, you can't really expand them, can you?
Not a lot, but one of the things that is happening, the city manager has proposed next year a capital project, and we're going to take a look. First, at the location of fire stations, we'll have an outside consultant come in and look at where calls are happening, look at the growth patterns of the city, and really chart the next 50 years and say, where is Concord expanding, and what's the optimal location in terms of facilities for us to have a... Would you like me to get that? We have to do that. It's well within reach there. So we have that, and we also have a facility needs study. Our stations are anywhere from 52 years old, the Heights Fire Station, and the newest one is 37 years old, the newest two, the Central Station and Broadway. And it's really time for us to look at the stations, their locations, and also how much it's going to cost to maintain them, and what they need to continue their useful life, or if we need to consider relocation, replacing them. So,
hey, gosh,
yeah, we are. They are all out of that era, which was very early in the newest one's very early in my career, and some of them going back quite a long time.
Well, it seems like I remember when I was a candidate. Now, I don't know, maybe it was the city council. I thought it was for state representative, but I shouldn't have done it. But the question got put to me, meeting with this group of firefighters, how do you feel about a fire station on the corner of Airport Road and Regional Drive? I said there was quite a bit of land there or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, it's a possibility, I guess. I'd like to hear more information about it, but if it gets you off Loudon Road, which is a major mess out there, maybe that is the answer.
Mm-hmm. It could be. But again, it's going to be a study. There are some pretty sophisticated tools. This business of station modeling goes back to about the mid-1970s. And the sophistication of the tools, it's a good investment for a city to take a look at services and take advantage of some of what these consultants can offer in terms of bringing their experience. So we look forward to it. It's still a year off. We'll, in a couple of years, we'll have a pretty solid idea of what our build-out plan is in terms of those stations. As you mentioned, they're big apparatus. I'm glad I'm not backing them in. I'm glad.
I just wonder, though, I guess, as expense-wise, and I know I said this on council when I was last year on there, I said, how expensive is it to keep that tower running as a first response vehicle versus having, engine 4 running all the time, or 7? I mean, they're small, way smaller than that tower, but, but I don't know what the expense is toward it.
But that's a good question. That's probably something that we should get back on, but it is how we deliver service, and the tower is the only piece of apparatus between the south end and the Broadway station, the Heights, and the Manor station. So if you have any kind of emergency within that very broad geographic area, you have 3 first responders on that, and that's about it. There isn't any other vehicle. We don't have an option like we did when we had an engine in Central Station. So we will use that vehicle. Someone said, why don't you use a smaller vehicle? Well, if the tower crew is away on a smaller vehicle and something else comes in, and I will tell you, every time we've had a structure fire, there's something else going on that it becomes awkward and inefficient to try and reconstitute a crew for the ladder company.
Seems like for a while Concord was pretty busy with fires.
We have our periods.
Yeah.
It seems like we go through, we've had 2 very major fires in Concord this year. Both are residence fires. We had one on Liberty Street on January 16th that caused a lot of damage. I drove by there the other day, and they stripped the house down to the studs. They're essentially rebuilding it. They're keeping the shell. It's about 110 years old, so it maintains its historical presence in the community, but it really did gut the house. And there's one on Rolfe Street just about 5 weeks ago, 5 or 6 weeks. And another structure fire up in Pennacook, and it just it caused a lot of damage to the back of the house, not nearly as much as Liberty, but we do have our times, and it seems like we're having these spurts.
Well, that's good though. But the ambulances, you've got what, one at Manor Station?
We have one at Manor and Broadway in the Heights, and we're looking to put one at Central Station as well.
Oh, I thought you had one at Central.
No, we used to have 2 at Central, and all the city's ambulances, the 2 city ambulances were at Central, and they would take turns going out, but they decided that it was a better method, especially when we went to 3, to distribute them to the periphery, and we get better response times and provide better service for that.
Oh, that's good. But I don't know. The budgets, I mean, boy. When you look back at the history of the fire department, back in the 70s and 80s, but especially 70s and 60s when they had the engines and the tankers. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day about a typical box alarm. A minor box, you had engines 2, 4, ladder 2 going. That was it. A big box alarm, it was engines 1, 2, 4, ladders 1, ladder 2, tank 1, all going. And to hear them come down Main Street, it was just, and that gave you the heebie-jeebies, because you wanted to see which way they were turning. If they turned up North Main, then you had to see if they were heading to the Heights, and oh, brother. But, you know, it was just an engine 3, because that was, at that time, it was 3, ladder 3, tank 3 up in Pennacook at the old station up there. Then engine 8 was down there in West Concord where Project Second started.
Yes, yeah.
That station. You know, it's interesting to see the number changes and all that. We have, and engine 2, was that reserve now, or is it engine 3?
Engine 2 and 3 are the reserves.
But I see engine 6 running around.
Yeah, excuse me, engine 2's out of that, so engine 3 and 6, and those are our reserves, and we are going to stay with that fleet for a while. We have a project coming up in a few years to replace engine 4 and start the cycle again. But that's where we're at. We're trying. We had 10 years of frontline experience, but 8 is really much more reasonable. We've been talking with city administration, who has been very, very responsive to the information that we brought forward. It's a different era. We are busier. We broke 8,000 calls a year in 2015. I don't think we'll ever see the other side of 8,000. And we continue to push upwards, and we'll be probably in the mid-8,000s this year.
Gee.
It's, yes, people are getting older. People need service. People are falling. People are getting sick. And it is causing quite a demand on the emergency medical services system.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's no doubt about it, because the ambulances, I mean, no matter what, I mean, it's just, you're charging, which years ago they didn't know they were charging, but still, you know, that's the big thing. They call the ambulance, but you get them sent over there, or what do they call them now? Rescue or ambulance?
Ambulance.
Ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as someone who spent a long time in the emergency communications field, we just drop the numbers when we dispatch and use the town names. We don't use the 5-5 and the...
Oh, you don't anymore?
No, as of April 3rd, that's gone away.
Oh my heavens.
Oh, that's a big change. Still for our dispatchers, and occasionally, if you do listen to our channel, you'll hear them say the town number instead of the town name, but we did make that change to move away from numbers to more common names.
Yeah, I can remember so much when I was at dispatch. If you heard first alarm mutual aid for the city of Concord first alarm mutual aid. Well, we'll use Concord, and I can hear him say, you know, the 55M1, 2, and all that jazz. And then all of a sudden, I'd hear the chief say, "Sound second alarm, please." And so all of a sudden, then comes in 62M1. 50M1.
Yeah.
53K2. And Hopkinton or whatever 60
yeah.
M1. Yeah, that's like, oh my God. And then Bow 52M2. You know, fire alarm. Send us third alarm, please. And so all of a sudden, then comes in Epsom 56K1. Pittsfield 72L1. Loudon 67. Oh boy. And
now
the other neighbors all down.
Yes. And now we're to, it's Pittsfield Engine 1, Concord Engine 4, and it's just the town names. So that's,
really?
We got away from that M1 and K1 and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
so, yeah, just simplifying. Try and make it all a little simpler for everyone all the way around.
Do you still have a tanker?
We still do have a tanker. It's located up at the Manor Fire Station, and it rolls on any kind of alarm, a fire alarm in the non-hydrant district. And we get our use out of it.
Well, you covered it quite a I mean, Concord is a big... When you go out towards Shaker Pond, or Hot Hole Pond, I think it is, Snowshoe Pond, that's all in Concord out there.
Everything is there. I remember.
And there's nothing out there. If you go out East Concord, take out those what is that road? Not Appleton Street. I thought that was a dead end, but maybe Appleton isn't. But you go out Oak Hill, and until that brings you into Loudon. But really, there's not much out there.
No, but there are vehicles out there, and that always leads to some interesting stuff. We have to protect it all. When you mentioned how big the city is, my wife, when we first came here, we would spend hours driving around, and she'd keep saying, "Are we still in Concord?" And I'd say, "We're still in Concord." She said, "This is a big place." And I said, "It is a big place. It's 64 square miles.
Yeah.
64.2, I think.
I think it's, yeah, it is. I think it's, excuse me, Dan. I think it's kind of a, what do you call, what's that word I want to use? It doesn't look it, or when you think about it. But then when you drive around the area, the outside area, and like I said, especially going out towards East Concord, or going out towards River Hill area up there, toward Pennacook out that way, it is quite a jaunt. And you wonder how they're scared of fire protection out there or what. You know, I mean, especially with brush fire season coming being on us or something, you know, you never know.
One never knows. You never know what's going to happen in this city.
Jesus. Now, you've been with the department how many years?
10 years.
10 years.
I will be 10 years on June 16th.
Boy.
That's it. It's gone quickly. It's gone frighteningly quickly. I mean, that's a decade out of your life is a long time. But it's gone very, very quickly.
You came in from Utah.
I did. I was sharing with somebody yesterday that my former department, Salt Lake City, opened a new fire station, and they had some pictures of their command staff, and I recognized most of them, but not all of them.
Wow.
A lot of changes. A lot of people I probably knew, but they've changed in 10 years.
How many in dispatch? I mean, how many towns do you have now that do that?
We just added the town of Washington. We will be adding the town of
Washington?
Yes.
Wow.
On July 1st. So we have, depends on how you count with Hillsborough, because we cover some area out there too, but we have 22 towns in dispatch now.
Holy.
And we used to have a map in dispatch that showed the chunk of central New Hampshire that we have. It's considerable. It's over 1,000 square miles that we provide service for.
But you go mutual aid now to Franklin and Tilton, do you?
We do. We do. Fairly rarely. It has to be usually a pretty significant incident, but we will go. We've been to structure fires in Franklin on a regular basis. The manor is particularly well situated to make a pretty good run there. You know, and we while we would never wish a fire on anyone, it does give us the ability as a city department to get some structural fire experience in, because structure fires have gone down over the years. It's not like the times that you and I remember, with smoke alarms, with built-in fire protection systems, with better systems. We have really made a dent in structure fires, and we still get enough to keep us in business.
Why did Washington come into Concord? That's way out there.
It's a ways out, but you know, communications towers and the network that we have that circles the entire capital area with we have, I think there are 7 major towers, and they're all linked, and we received a grant from the state, the Capital Area Compact received a grant to do what's called simulcast, so that we activate all of our towers on every time a mic keys up. So that really makes it a much more uniform and much more manageable communications infrastructure network. So they're there, and it's, you know, when it's, you have the infrastructure we do, you can't tell if you're coming from their town hall, if you're coming from downtown Concord.
My goodness.
Lots of benefits. And the financial benefits, we're seeing about $554,000 a year coming in, because 70% of our costs are reimbursed by the compact. We have a formula based on population and assessed valuation, and we get reimbursed for the operations of that dispatch center.
Now, is Ware in there too?
No, Ware is not.
Ware is not.
Ware is not. We go out, we include Dunbarton, but we don't go as far as Ware.
Dunbarton is in fire alarm?
Dunbarton is.
Okay. Now what, not Goffstown or New Boston?
Nope, nothing down in that area. Dunbarton's pretty on the periphery. We go from that area, Bow, Dunbarton, Hooksett, and that's kind of that particular tip of the compact.
Man. Washington. I mean, you got Henniker out there.
We have Henniker.
You don't have Deering, do you?
We do have Deering.
You have Deering.
We have Deering.
Bradford.
We have Bradford. We have Northwood and Pittsfield.
Yeah. But you don't have Stoddard or Antrim?
Nope, none of those.
And you would think with Washington you would have Antrim at least.
Washington just voted, just in the last month, they have voted to their town to join the Mutual Aid Compact. So we dispatch with them, which gives us a little break in price and gives them a pretty good level of service.
Yeah. I'd say so, because I don't even know. I remember what towns they're near out there.
Our just retired Deputy Chief John France was from Washington. It's a ways out there. His family still lives there. So
in Washington?
In Washington, it's a bit out.
We had Grangers out there, but I can't remember what towns, whatever towns they were near. But well, that's good though. So. Well, you must keep it. How many firefighters do you have on now?
We currently have 80 people spread across 4 operating shifts, and so we have 20 per shift. Minimum staffing is 19, and they staff the 4 stations. We have 5 at the outlying stations, Manor, Heights, and Broadway. Then we have 3 plus a battalion chief at Central Station, so that brings us to 19. And if everybody's at work, we have 20.
Wow.
We'll have 4 on the tower ladder.
Don't seem possible.
It is a little different system. I am so glad that most of our legacy stations are still being maintained so well. I saw Jim Doremus today. Jim is executive director of the YMCA. They own the old Central Station, which was built in 1875. And not only have they owned it, but they have gotten some federal grants to restore it, and have done a lot of work to make sure that that community treasure keeps going. And it's a great city for so many reasons, partly because of the historical treasures that we have in in our fire stations, our public buildings, our older residences, and it's a great city.
Well, it's good there, Dan. Well, that half hour really flew, but we're glad to have you on and get you on again.
We'll do that.
Sooner.
Yeah, it's just it's the
Chief Osgood comes on once a month or once every 3 weeks.
Isn't he a great guy?
Yes, he is.
Oh, he's a good man. I like him.
And that's why I said, it seems so good to get him on here. And I can get you back on too every 3 or 4 weeks. So
thank you.
Brings
We'll
up
get
to date
back.
what's happening.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about.
Because fireworks coming up and people are playing with them all the time, and what's illegal, what's not legal, and so we'll have to get you all before the middle of June there. So.
Very good. I look forward to that, and thank you for having me on today.
All right, Danny. Well, you take care, and wish you well in the fire department. We've been visiting with Fire Chief Dan Andrew, and if you have any questions, give him a call up there at the Concord Fire Department, and he certainly will get you steered in the right direction. So, with that in mind, thanks to my director, Ian Marx, and we hope you have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon next week on Around Town. I'm your host, Dick Patten.